And hey everybody, this is me, Mama D. For those of you who can hear me, yippee, let me know you got sound. For those of you who can't, I typed in the chat room, no sound, refresh your page and or click the play and pause, the pause and play thingamajiggy on the side. It's so technical, aren't I? Thingamajiggy. Anyway, this is my last show of 2018. The year seems to have gone by so quickly. And my last guest for this show is Michael Christopher. And he's been on my show, I think this is the third time. And one time was by himself, and then one time with a friend, and now he's back by himself again. He had to bring a friend last time because he needed a bodyguard. He was afraid of me.
I did.
All right. See? So you never know. You might need another bodyguard next time, or just bring a friend to come along and join the party. So everybody's heard his voice. So everybody in the chat room, I hope you can hear us. And Michael, Mike is yours. Please tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
All right. Like I just told you a few seconds ago, for everybody that's heard my story a million times, sorry, you're going to hear it again.
And again. And again.
And I always get confused on where to start because I have this like linear map in my head, but as soon as my teeth start flapping, it kind of goes middle, beginning, all right, a little bit to the end, back to the middle. So I'm going to start where I think it starts. Go from there.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Hey, Juanita.
Even I get confused because I'm trying to tell my own story. But I'll start with this. Okay, I was not aware of my abilities for most of my life. You hear people talk about being psychic, mediums. A lot of them you hear that have had this throughout their entire life. Looking back now, yes, I definitely see where I had it. I just was not aware of it. So I'll try to keep this in some kind of, or make some kind of sense out of this. It was interesting about, I spent 20 years in the Air Force, and I think it was around my 10-year point, that two things I think kind of significant happened right there. One, I was diagnosed with a kidney disease, and it was completely unexpected. If it wasn't going for my pilot's license, the regular physicals would not have checked for this. So luckily they found that. Long story short with that, there was nothing they could do but just monitor it and kind of control it and try to keep it just, as the progression as slow as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But around that same time, me and my wife started watching John Edward on TV, and it was just like, whoa, we had never seen anything like that before. I don't think I remember even hearing about mediums before seeing John Edwards' show right around that year 2000. And we were just, both of us were like, whoa, I was like, what is this? And, we just started tuning in every week. From there, probably, started reading his books, other mediums, we grabbed every book that we could possibly read on the subject. It was just fascinating to us.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere along the line there, I do recall saying, or just to myself, and I have this on my page, that, I used to sit and wonder, wow, what it would be like to actually be able to do that, to be able to give somebody a message. To me, that was just, just awesome, to be able to do that. And that's kind of where I left it. And we just continue to, check out mediums and yada, yada. So I'll fast forward probably about 9 years, somewhere in there. It was right after I retired from the Air Force in 2009 that my kidneys did fail. And even though I had 10 years to prepare for it, I always wondered what would happen, wondered if it would happen. It was like living with a time bomb really for 10 years because I did not know when it would happen. The doctors didn't know if it would happen. It was just kind of one of those things that you just watch. But when it finally did, it just hit me. It hit me hard. I remember leaving the doctor's office that day and just a fog. I remember getting in my truck and just driving aimlessly for probably 2 hours, just trying to, I guess, come to terms with what was going on. You know, that moment that I dreaded for almost, 10 years was finally there in my face. And I guess I handled it pretty much the same way I did when I found out about it. You know, I finally just stopped the truck, pulled over, and just sat and thought. And again, the same thing. Again, when I was back at that initial point, I just thought, all right, I have a choice here. You know, I can let this just completely cripple me, cripple my mind, and just be consumed with all the negatives. And actually, I did. I went through a pretty dark moment at that point. I decided that I didn't want to live. I remember coming home, and discussing it with my family that, I just found out that, yes, they are failing. And to me at that point, excuse me, dying was easier. Dying was easier than the unknown. I feared I feared dialysis. I feared waiting for a transplant. Just all this stuff was going through my head. And I have 2 stepbrothers that were born with cystic fibrosis, so we're well aware of transplants and that side of it. And it just scared the hell out of me. And, I told my wife, I'm like, I just don't want to live. I just want to kind of let things take its course. And, at this point, my first brother, Jason, had passed. He never got a chance at transplant. He became too ill, before he could even be listed. So, and the reason I mention that is because I think he was a catalyst on what happened in that moment. Because it was probably about a day later, it just hit me like, no, that's not the choice you're going to make. And I'm certain it was him. Give me that courage to just say, no, you got to keep going. And it was like a complete 180.
Yeah.
And, I talked to my wife. I said, look, I'm going to try this. I'm going to give it a year. Because I'm not going to stay alive on a machine. I'm just not going to live that way. And, I had a great attitude. From that moment on, again, I made that decision like, all right, I have to do this. But it's not going to define who I am. I told the nurses, doctors, because I was asking, silly questions I don't think they were used to. Can I still golf? Can I still do this, that, and the other? And they're like, you're just going to be too sick. Well, that's what the usual outcome is when you're on dialysis.
Yeah.
And I waited to the last possible second to start that. I remember being at work and having to call my wife to take me to the emergency room because I literally went to that part or that moment where I was crying uncle, and she took me down right from work and the doctor's like, we got to start dialysis, put the stent in, and, I had my first session and it was like, I felt so much better. It was unbelievable. I was like, whoa, why did I fear this? And I literally went fishing that afternoon after dialysis, and I kept working out. I wasn't the same as I was prior to the kidney failure, but I continued to do as much as I could to stay normal. Whether it was 20 minutes on a treadmill or whatever I could do, I still golfed. And even the nurses were like, how are you doing this? I'm like, I don't know. I paid attention to my diet. I was strict as I could be with everything the doctors told me. And, I couldn't get through 18 holes of golf, but I managed to do whatever, and when I felt I was at that fatigue part or point, I just stopped. But the point is, I just kept going. To me, it was important. It kept my mind in the right place. I was not going to just sit around and think about this 24/7. That I'm on dialysis, I'm waiting for a kidney. That would drive you just crazy. Anytime you want to interrupt me if I'm babbling too much.
No, because you're sort of preaching to the choir when it comes to dialysis. Dialysis. So, and he keeps himself going, so I understand what you're talking about. So, yeah.
Okay, good. So this was around May, I think, of 2010 when I had to start. And right from the get-go, you know, I was already, my family was getting tested for, you know, a match. And my brother tested, and he was, you know, a perfect match. And they went ahead and scheduled the surgery for, I think it was the first week of September of 2010. So there was my light at the end of the tunnel. You know, I had something to look forward to. Well, 2 weeks before the surgery, he got a staph infection and it turned MRSA. I didn't understand what that was. And when they found out at the transplant center, they said, okay, he cannot donate. Well, I thought that meant he can't donate until this clears up. And they're like, no, MRSA means he's ineligible to donate.
Okay.
So here I am again at square one going, what the, you know, what the hell?
Yeah.
And literally all I did, I took a deep breath and I was like, okay, you know, I'll just keep going. And it was about 10 days later, a friend of mine that was in the Air Force with me, who had been stationed literally across the country, reached out. He had heard something about it. And I hadn't seen him for years. You know, we were stationed together. He got orders somewhere else. I mean, we kept in loose contact, but that was about it.
Yeah.
And he contacted me, and I thought he was just asking questions. You know, I thought he was curious. And he said he wanted to donate. I was like, what? You know, I was just speechless. I'll fast forward that because he had to go through the Air Force process to let them, you know, to get permission to donate. He was still military, blah, blah, blah. They approved it. We had the surgery December 10th of 2010. And, you know, so now I'm just over 8 years with the transplant. So I'll say that was another step in the direction of where I am now. Going through that, you really dig deep and you start looking for answers, for comfort, and really what I fell back on at that moment was all those books I had read, seeing the mediums. It just gave me peace knowing that, okay, if this goes bad, there's something more beyond the physical world. And it wasn't just, I think there is. At that, I knew there was.
Yeah.
I just had this knowing. I know there's more. And it did. It really, it pulled me into the dark times because I had many. And just, you know, it just gave me comfort. So we go through that. Fast forward, was it summer of 2015. I get a call from my mother. It was right at the beginning of August 2015. All she said was, I just got a call from my brother and Jackie was stabbed. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, we don't have any details. So that's all I knew at that moment. Jackie was stabbed. I'm like, okay, what? I think it was the next day I found out how bad it was, and I heard the whole story, that somebody had broke into her barber shop while she was alone, trying to rob it for drug money. And the guy ended up stabbing her in the neck. And she managed to make it outside the building and collapsed in the sidewalk out front. And someone found her. They called the ambulance. But the damage was so severe that they said she had already had several strokes and heart attacks on the way to the hospital because of blood loss. Okay. So she was on life support, and within a day or two from there, they decided, you know, there was nothing. She was not going to recover from this.
Okay, now who is Jackie?
Jackie's my sister.
Okay.
Yep. So, you know, that, and again, I know people who know me know this story, but I never got a chance to meet Jackie during my life because she was born to my dad's second marriage, and she was about 6 years younger than me. Or, I'm sorry, 13 years younger than I was.
Okay.
So going home on leave, I never had the chance to meet her. And it was actually the last time was home. We were all supposed to get together, and something happened where she couldn't make it. So that was pretty much the last opportunity that I would have had to meet her. So during the time this was happening, or this had happened, they didn't know who did this. They didn't find the person for almost 5 months. So it was probably about a month or two into this. I was downstairs working out, and I come across this video on YouTube about this mother who channels or works with a medium channel for her son. So I start watching this, and I see the website. So I click on the website, and they're psychics. And some of the stuff they do is work with these kind of cases. So I reached out to the group and just asked, hey, can anybody point me in the direction of somebody that can help me with this? Mm-hmm. So there was some people on there that immediately started helping me. They didn't ask for anything for themselves. They just reached out and did what they could. And long story short with them, I've become really good friends with them. They have helped dramatically with what's going on with me now. But
do you want to share the name of the site?
Oh, yeah, it's Channeling Eric.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a few people that listen to me. A lot of people that know me, that's kind of where this started. So, but for your listeners that aren't familiar, channelingeric.com.
Well, I've had a few people on from Channeling Eric. So.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, Michelle and Monique. They were both in that group. But anyway, this is the moment where this really kicked off for me and made me realize that I was a medium. I got up for work one morning. It was about 5:30 in the morning, and I was just out in the kitchen by myself, getting stuff ready. And all of a sudden I feel a presence. It felt like somebody was standing behind me. And I knew my wife wasn't up. And all of a sudden in my mind, I pictured my sister. And I was like, this is weird. So I got the two things going on. I feel her standing behind me, or feel something standing behind me. And then in my mind, I'm seeing her. And in my mind, I see her walk up behind me and wrap her arms around me and hug me. And it stopped me dead in my tracks because I thought I was losing my marbles at that point. I wasn't even thinking of her. And it was just instant. So I'm like, what in the heck is going on here? Mm-hmm. And probably, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds, she kind of just pulled away. Now, I didn't say anything for days about that because I never had an experience like that. I thought I was losing my mind. I really was. So a few days to a week later, I'm back talking with these people I met, the psychics, and I brought it up. I didn't say any details, but I brought it up. I can't remember how, but I just brought it up. Yeah. And one of them confirmed it. They validated, your sister, matter of fact, like, did your sister come up and hug you in the kitchen? And right then and there, I was like, holy, I was like, okay. So a little bit further down the road, having more conversations with my friends now, these psychics and mediums. Mm-hmm. And Linda is one of them. And I remember we were doing a Skype call or just chatting about something. And as I'm talking, or as we're talking, I start hearing this name in my head over and over. Jim. I keep hearing this name, Jim. Okay. Tell her it's Jim. And I'm like, all right, now I know I'm losing my mind. What is going on here? It was to the point where I couldn't concentrate on what she was saying. And he just said it again, tell her it's Jim. So I finally stopped her and said, okay, I don't know what's going on here. I have a male here that's telling me his name is Jim. And I believe he passed from cancer. She goes, that's my father. And I was like, what? I was just like, at that point, again, what is this? What is going on? And I think she had said, or maybe at that moment or another point close to that you're a medium. I was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. No. Well, turns out, I guess I was. From that point, I got pointed in the direction of classes to figure out what was going on. I took a quick 4-week class with my friend Mimi. It was just on intuition development. And once I took that class, and it was primarily just learning what the clairs were. I mean, yeah, you hear mediums talking about this, but I never fully understand what they meant. There's a lot of misunderstanding on my part on what clairvoyance was, what mediumship was, how do people talk to the dead. I was familiar with watching people, but I didn't understand the process. So the first week, for instance, with the class was clairvoyance. Once I understood that it isn't like TV where some mediums do see apparitions, spirits, like they do human beings. A majority of us don't. A majority of us see everything in our mind like we would a dream or, a photo or a memory. If you get visual on a photo memory, that's how I see. And once I understood that, I was like, what the? A lot of stuff started making sense and the wheels started spinning. I'm like, okay. Then I learned about clairaudience. And again, it's not hearing externally, it's hearing in your mind. So it's actually like your own voice, but it's not you thinking these thoughts, it's coming from them. Again, that just opened the doors even further, like, oh my God, I think I've had this my whole life. And I just thought it was normal. I thought everybody could, and everybody can. Some people's awareness is more heightened, So anyway, long story short with that, once I learned that and started playing with it, it came on super quick. I mean, literally from, 0 time to 3 months, I was doing readings because I wanted to figure out what this was all about. And I just remember people commenting when they found out I'd only been doing it 3 months because they had thought I'd been doing it for years. I mean, the connections came so quick, so clear. And I'm not one of the mediums that work with symbols. A lot of people do. Yeah. For me, it's like, I've said this before to you, I have the attention span of a gnat. So if I see a penny on the floor, I'm done. So my agreement with Spirit is like, guys, gals, when you come through, you better come in quick. You better come in clear, because if I have to start interpreting symbols, that's not going to work for me. I don't have the patience, and I have a limited vocabulary. So make this easy for me.
Because you're a guy.
What's that?
That's because you're a guy.
Exactly. And I'm an impatient guy. Take a sip of coffee.
Well,
I'll try not to go.
I'm going to say a quick hello to everybody in the chat room. Welcome, Eric Glenn. Jamie, I'm glad you got sound. Juanita, thank you very much for helping out. Lori, I think it's Lene, and Michael, and we've lost all our guests because they couldn't chat. But thank you all for hanging in there and enjoying this conversation. And if you have any questions for Michael, just type them in the chat room. I know I do have one person who has called in, and when it comes time to it, I will unmute you and we'll see who you are.
All right.
Okay.
That's kind of how things got started for me. Yeah. And like I said, once I figured it out, I started working with it. I started a Facebook group with the sole purpose of finding people who wanted to help me, basically be my experiment. Sit down with me, and let's see what this is about. Somehow I just managed to just keep doing it. I started doing group readings for people within months. Again, I have a bad habit of doing things and stepping into things without thinking. I just do it. And then I'm like, I make an agreement to go do something, like the first time I did a group reading, and 5 minutes later going, what did you just get yourself into? You don't know what you're doing yet? I'm like, well, I'll figure it out. And everybody in the group knew. There was about 20 people. I wasn't expecting that many, but So I just started doing it and just figuring things out as I went. I'm not really one that has taken too many classes. You know, I studied with Mimi initially, but it was just that initial, what is this about? All right, I'll take another one to work with it a little bit. And after that, it's pretty much, I've pretty much just done by myself. I did enroll in a different course, but I dropped out within 3 months because I just had this burning, I mean, besides my brothers and my sister on the other side, and they're yelling at me saying, you don't need this course. You're doing this just fine. Don't. I had other mediums telling me, you don't need anybody. You know, you have what you have. Don't let people try and change you. You know, and I had that internal feeling, don't do this, but I did it anyway, and that's why it never worked out. So for me, I learned everything that I feel I need to by just doing this and listening to them on the other side. That's me. You know, that's just the way I do it.
Yeah. Well, it's true. Some people have it. Well, some people are born with it. Some people are born into it. Some people just, as I say, step into it, trip and fall face first into it. But it's not all about learning from somebody else. Sometimes you have to just trust yourself and learn from yourself. We do have a question in the chat room from Jamie. How did you learn to accept what you were hearing, and what was the validation from your sister? Jamie had to go away for a little while and didn't get it all, so you want to roll over that again.
How did I learn to accept what I was hearing? I got to be honest, when I first started it, I was like a kid with a new toy. I was like, holy crap, this is happening to me. You know, all those books, all those videos and, you know, TV shows that we had watched, you know, to me it was like the best informal education for that 10 to 15 year period before this started. So it wasn't like I was starting from scratch. I understood once this happened to me, and I figured out this is what was going on. It was like instant acceptance for me. I was just like, I'm going to see what this is about. Now I got to be honest that there's a few times where I wanted to back away because there's a lot of ups and downs with this work. But for the most part, I was like full steam ahead with this. I was like, wow. I know. So it didn't take long. And then the validation. Was it the validation with your sister? Yeah. I mean, when that happened, and I know now, I know without a doubt that she was there to start this for me, to bring my awareness to what was going on. There's no doubt. I mean, something like that, something that dramatic, that was not an accident.
Yeah.
And I believe that's, you know, that's where this started. So it was instant acceptance and full steam ahead.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, not everybody, guests in the chat room, you are welcome to stay, but because you're just finding this guest, you won't be able to chat. You won't be able to type into the chat room. So if you want to type into the chat room, just go back out and sign in with your Facebook account or sign up to IntuiTalks.com and you'll be able to chat. Some people, hold on a second, Eric posted in here, the connection to spirit is as easy as breathing if it's done with respect for spirit, which is very true. Some people, you know, don't get, you know, sit there and wonder why me, why not me, whatever. Accept what you have, accept what you're getting. And it's not always easy, but just do it with respect, like everything else.
I couldn't agree more with Eric, and I say this a lot. This is a birthright. And it's not just mediums that have this ability. Everybody has this ability. I use a baseball analogy with this because I think it just really paints the picture. You know, everybody can pick up a baseball and go play ball in the backyard.
Yep.
There's certain levels that you can attain with that sport. Not everybody's going to be a professional baseball player. And not everybody's meant to be a professional baseball player. So with that, That's how I look at it. Everybody has the ability to connect with their family and friends on the other side. And there's some, just like a professional baseball player, professional media or musician, there are going to be people that do this for their profession.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and yeah, there's other things I want to throw out there, but I don't want to.
Okay. Jamie again in the chat room says, do you get a lot of communication in dreams also?
Not really. There's some. Actually, it's been just over 3 years since my sister passed. I finally had a visitation dream with her probably about 2 weeks ago, where I don't remember everything, but I remember we were sitting out in the sun, just hanging out, talking. And since she has passed, I've told her, it's like, I've asked her to appear, and she gives me the same answer that you don't need me to. It takes a lot of energy. You don't need it. I'm here. You can hear me. You can see me in your mind. So she's like, no, you don't need this, and be careful what you ask for. Is the constant thing I get from her and my brothers. Because once you see it, you're not going to unsee it. I'm like, okay, whatever.
And Eric will attest to that one.
Yep. So I'm constantly asking her, all right, if you're not going to appear, then, visit me in my dreams. Astral travel. Let's, just help me to remember this. So that finally happened a couple weeks ago. Other than that, I can remember some vivid dreams here within the last 6 months, but other than that, not really. I don't really communicate, or I don't remember communicating when I'm asleep. Most of it's during the time I'm actually open to channel.
Yeah. Well, one of the things a lot of people forget is that you have been blessed with that things came on quickly. We'll get back to that question. I had that one in my head too, Eric. You've been blessed with being able to accept. You got to see. We're going to use the word see, but it's not see. Everybody understands it. You got to see your connection with spirit. You got to hear your connection with spirit. But some people don't get that. Like for example, I myself get shivers, and it's a certain type of shiver. It's not just So everybody has to learn how they connect to spirit. So it's an important thing. And Eric in the chat room says, so what changed 2 weeks ago? Why did you need her at that time?
Before I move on to his question, I want to talk about the point you just made about feeling. For the first time, last night, I did a reading last night, and the connection with this spirit was so strong, and the messages were so clear. I remember after it was over, he was still here, and I could feel the shiver. It wasn't the shivers, it was like electricity. The hair on my arms were standing up. I could feel him, and that was the first time doing this. That was so intense, and he was just telling me how much he appreciated what just happened.
Yeah.
And I thanked him, and then he moved off. I was just like, whoa, so that's what that feels like. And I think there was another point. It just escaped my mind. But the connection, the thing is, people are not aware. I think most people are looking for very substantial communication or events to happen. I'll tell you right now, spirit communication is so subtle. It is very subtle, and thanks to TV, it's just blown out of proportion how it's going to happen. My sister's told me, other mediums, it's like, I'm not going to pop out around the corner at you. I'm not going to snap a light bulb for you. It's very subtle, and when I hear them, it's like a thought. But it's easy to dismiss if you're not aware of what's happening.
Just 1 second, when you said that, pop a light bulb, when when you first started talking about your sister, I have 3 lights on the light pole in my room, in my office. I only have two that they lit up. The other one I turn off. I don't need it that strong. But when you started talking about your sister, the light went off. So I only have one light bulb that's working. So yes.
Put it back on.
That's fine. My mother has played with that as well, so okay. It'll come back when they're ready to let me know. Yep. So yeah, Eric in the chat room, a quick one. It took him 55 years to become an overnight success. Yeah.
I was 46, I think, when this happened. 45 or 46.
So what changed 2 weeks ago?
Nothing. I did, and it was just I have no idea. It was just finally time, I guess, for it to happen, and I don't look at it. I don't look into it any more than what it was. There wasn't any special message. It was just finally I got to visit with my sister in a dream or a visit to where it was something more than just me being awake and just communicating like I do with other spirits. It just felt more real.
Okay.
I guess that's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago. Do you remember the date? About?
No, not offhand.
Okay.
No. I can barely remember yesterday.
Very good. Okay. I still feel like Eric. I still feel something. A light switch flipped 2 weeks ago. So yeah, you'll figure it out when it's time for you to figure it out. Whether it's just when it's time for you to know what flipped the switch, then you'll know it.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay, Eric says, yes, it changed. You became totally open to your communication with Spirit and more to the point, she had a spare minute. Yes, we sisters, we are kind of, do things our own way.
Oh, yeah. No, I got two knucklehead brothers over there, too, so they take their sweet-ass time coming through, too.
Well, they're boys, so, we'll leave it at that.
But I guess, too, I should add that another thing that's happening, and, my friends have told me this, too, other woo-woo friends, as I call them, that, once I decided to leave my job, which I did, I'll be done. February 9th is actually it. And it makes sense what they're telling me. At that point, I'll finally, after 30 years of doing air traffic control, be able to put that analytical side of my consciousness not completely away, but I'll be able to just focus more on this. And with that, and I feel too that things are opening up. Because I've been told this more than once that there's still more to come as far as my abilities. I've been told over and over that I'm a healer and not just Reiki. The way I've been shown is, I don't know if everybody's familiar with Charlie Goldsmith, the healer from Australia. I've been shown that. I've been told that's similar to what I'm going to be doing. And I've tried it out a few times. I'm not going to say I do it, proficiently, but I have practiced with it, and I have had some success with it. But I'm not ready to say that's what I do. I'm a medium. But I've been told that there's other abilities that are going to start creeping up on me, that this isn't it. So, but my thing right now is I'm a medium. That's where I'm comfortable. That's where I feel called to do, for now. And if that changes, I'm always going to be a medium. But if there's other stuff that comes up that I'm supposed to do, well, it'll come up when it's supposed to.
Well, one of the things is you sort of, for you yourself, you call yourself a medium. And there are other people that like to be put into a box, have a name, have a title. Eric can attest to this, that he's all kinds of things. When people put a name to him, you fit all kinds of different. You can fit into every different little box. I personally consider mediums, psychics, and everything else that we do, all light workers, healers. Yeah. Because whether you're putting a hands-on healing or you're giving somebody a message from someone who passed or giving them a psychic reading to the future of what possibly could happen because we got to remember we have that little thing that's called free will, so we can, go out and turn left instead of turning right. That each and every aspect of that is a healing.
Yes.
So in respects, you are a healer, but you just have a different, at this moment in time, you're in a different stage of your healing.
And you read my mind because I was going to touch on that too, that I too do not like being put into a box. I've settled into a medium because that's what most of the people understand. So I go with it, but you're right. I don't, just like you said, we're energy workers. We're capable of more than we give ourselves credit for. And you're right, it is what it is. And yes, whether it's a healing message or, you help somebody physically, it's all the same.
Yep. As I say, physical, emotional, and spiritual, all aspects of healing is what we touched on. So why not? Yep, exactly. Okay, anybody in the chat room? We have Jacqueline Lopez. Sorry, didn't get a chance to type in. Welcome, darling. Anybody again has a question? Type it into the chat room. I will read it and I will force Michael to answer it.
I'll try my best.
No, you're doing fine. And if anybody wants a reading, you can also put that in. But we do have, let me see if my little person on hold. Would you be willing to listen to whoever's on hold and see what they want?
Sure. Let's see if something pops up.
All right, let's see. I have somebody who's on. I'm going to unmute you, so be prepared. Hello and welcome. I don't think they've realized I've unmuted them. Hello? I can still hear you. I believe it's a 701 area code.
Oh, that's my neck of the woods. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, hello, is it me?
Yeah, you. Hi.
Hi.
Who are we talking to?
This is Lene. I had a group reading with Michael a couple weeks ago.
Hello, Nay.
Hi.
Hello.
Did you have any questions for Michael now?
Not at the moment. I'm still kind of listening and see what this is all about. First time I've joined in on this.
Well, it's just getting to know who Michael is and sharing his gifts that he has that helps everybody else, and that's what this show is all about. Just making sure that everybody gets to share who they are, what they are, and however they can help. I'm helping everybody else help. So, if you have a question, Lene, you can type it in the chat room. I don't know if you can still type. No, you're on your cell phone, but or just do something and I'll unmute you.
Okay, we'll do. Thanks.
You're welcome, darling. Okay. Eric says, back in the 1980s here in the UK, not sure how it works, but whoops, try that when I jump one. Back in the 1980s, he was known as a spirit felicitator. It's all boxes, fits all the boxes. That's interesting.
Yep. Spirit communicator, facilitator. Yep.
Hmm.
Yep.
Well,
yes.
Jacqueline, welcome here as a first-time visitor. And this one of the other things about this show, which I like to make sure everybody realizes, it's a safe place. If you have a question, even if you think it's a silly question, the only silly questions are questions that you don't ask because somebody else might be having the same question. So if you have a question about mediumship, about being a medium, you can type in on the computer or you can go onto the computer. But if you have any questions, it doesn't have to be for a reading. It doesn't have to be specifically about Michael's journey to where he is, but maybe something about his journey can answer questions to what the journey that we are all on. So just type it in, chime it in, and Lene is still my only one on hold. Okay. So first off, one thing I need to get out here, if you don't mind, what is your wife's name?
Sheila?
Sheila. Okay, because you keep saying my wife, my wife, my wife.
Oh.
Sheila?
Yes.
You are a strong woman to put up with this man.
Oh, it's more than just the medium stuff that she puts up with, believe me.
I know that's what I was talking about.
And then Janita, you see her in the chat room.
Okay.
We're like joined at the hip with the woo-woo work, and she's like just, you're on the chat today with her.
Yes, yes.
I'm her problem child because she picks up on the energies that I'm not aware of following me around. She's constantly like, oh my God, now you got somebody else around you. Let me clear this person from you. So I got to keep my distance for her. I'm going to end up driving her crazy.
Wow.
She always calls me the cold-hearted SOB because I'm not aware of the people following me around, but she picks up on it almost immediately. She's like, you got that guy around you again.
Okay. Exactly, Eric. There are no stupid questions. There will be loads of others thinking the same questions, just blurted out. Okay, so what has been your biggest challenge so far? And that's from, I hope I'm getting this right, Janita.
Yep.
Which, by the way, is a very pretty name to go with a very pretty face.
Nita, let's see, biggest challenge. I
Aside
think
from
trust. That's the biggest thing. I've narrowed it down to trust and just see if there's anything else that goes with that.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's got to be trust in what spirit shows me. At the beginning, I was apprehensive. I would bite my tongue, like I'm not going to say that. I don't think that's right. I let my mind get in the way of what they were showing me. And again, as part of the development, you start to understand that the more you let go and put your conscious mind aside, the easier the information flows. And, I'm still guilty of this. But it's literally like I have to sit there and forcibly at times go, just say, F this. I'm trusting everything that comes through. I don't care how silly. I'm saying this. And, Lene is probably still around, but that situation, and I want to talk about this. I did on my website the other day. I did a video about it. That mediums go through ups and downs, where we have readings that we will kick ourselves for because it's like that should have gone better. I should have got more messages. And the group that I did with Lene and her two friends, I'm not going to go into details of the reading, but it was probably one of the most difficult readings I've had in a long time, and I would say it shook me because the information was not flowing the way I'm used to. And I'll get to my point with this, but I think it needs to be said because other mediums are, may be listening to this, and they need to understand, even the experienced ones, as well as the new ones, that this is a normal part of this work, that there's reasons why at times communication flows really, smooth. There's other times where it's like pulling teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And initially I used to blame myself for it, everything, and I've come to learn that no, it's not about me. There's so many things that have to come together to make this work. It's energy. And I just have to just accept that that's how it's going to go sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's going to be hard. Sometimes it's just going to be difficult. I'm not going to be as clear as on other readings. The one thing that I will always do is I will always give 100% on what I'm doing. And I just have to accept what the outcome is, whether it's a quick hello or Chatty Cathy comes through with, tons of validating pieces of information.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this, that, if you step back and look at it, a quick hello and, hey, I saw you do laundry today. I saw you take so-and-so to the grocery store. Those two vary on brevity to Chatty Cathy, but they both mean the same thing.
Yeah.
They're still with us. They see what you're doing. They're still part of your life. But I'm very hard on myself. And there's,
that's what I was going to say. When I said we all thought the reading went well, as the medium in question, you are harder on yourself than your sitters are.
Yes, and it takes other people to make me realize that because I'm stubborn and I just with this work I just want to do the best I can. So yes, and I appreciate that. And it's just me. It's just something that, it's not just me. Other mediums go through the same thing. That's just the way it is. I just have to accept that that's how it is sometimes.
Okay, a quick one, because I was writing this down, and Eric just wrote it down. I will get to your question, Jamie, I promise. Is Eric's grandmother was a very important medium in her her time. She has 2 rules. Number 1, spirit is the star, and you're doing spirit work. Rule number 2, if you think you're the star, reread rule number 1.
Yep. And that's just it.
Exactly. You are just a telephone. You just have to trust. And I've heard different stories from different people, but it's basically the same thing. Somebody says something about the pink teapot, and like this person was like, I don't want to say anything about a pink teapot. It doesn't fit anywhere into it, But that pink teapot will say like the password, the code word that your sitter needed to hear. Just because your mind, our human minds, didn't understand it doesn't mean that your sitter won't. So you have to, again, that 5-letter word, trust. You have to trust in in spirit and trust in yourself that, you're giving what you got to get. Give what you get. And yes, I keep that's a big learning one for all of us. I'm going to get this question in before I lose it. Where'd it go? Okay. Jamie, what advice would you have for an empathic medium?
1, understand. Learn to understand what that means. Learn how to work with it. Janita can attest to this because she's probably one of the most empathic people I think I've ever met. That there's ways to work with that to lessen the impact on you physically and mentally. There's exercises, there's meditations to help you close down and shut out. With this work, no matter what you do, boundaries are critical.
Yep.
And again, some people are more sensitive to it than others. I walk around, like I said, and I literally did walk into a 2x4 a couple months ago, and nobody screamed, Michael, look out, you're about to run into a 2x4. I ran into the 2x4 and knocked myself silly. So again, whether they were standing next to me shouting, I don't know, because I'm not paying attention to it. When I'm not actively channeling, they literally have to be coming through with some really, really critical stuff for me to be like, hey, wait a minute, someone's trying to get my attention. Otherwise, I go about my normal life, so.
Exactly. And just my 2 cents on the thing. You have to learn how to control your empathy, because I am empathic, and sometimes you'll get the feelings of what the spirit is or what your sitter is giving off, and you have to learn how to make the difference between whether it's you feeling it or whether it's somebody else feeling it around you. So learn how to work and don't worry about saying to the spirit, like, I'm in the bathroom, let me be. Okay, some people, some guys don't have that rule. Or this is my bedroom. You don't come into this bedroom unless it's like a matter of life and death emergency. And, because I actually had somebody ask me one time, well, does spirit see me when I'm, having sex with my boyfriend? It's like, I somehow doubt that spirit wants to see that part, but, have you sort of set your boundaries, It's like, it's like we're human. Mediums, psychics, healers, everything. We're all human, so these things happen. Planned or unplanned, these things happen. So people, spirit doesn't want to watch. They're not into porn on the other side. Yeah.
And if they are, it's out of my control. I don't care. If you want to sit there and watch. I mean, my life is not that, interesting. So if you want to sit, I'd say whatever.
Michael and his wife will be having a romantic moment, and all of a sudden he'll hear in the background, woo, woo, woo.
Oh, God. No.
Your wife's going to kick your butt for that one, actually.
Oh, she did already, because we were staying at the Stanley Hotel in Colorado. You know that? Are you familiar with that one?
Yes.
Yeah, we stayed there one night, and she didn't realize. Well, I didn't tell her. When we went to go to sleep, I like set my boundaries. Like, look, you effers, I want to sleep tonight, so stay out of our room. And I didn't hear Pete the whole night, and she sat up purposely waiting for something to happen. And she's like, nothing happened last night. I'm like, well, I kind of told her like it's off last night. I didn't want to deal with it. She was upset.
Oh, well, you should take her back.
Yeah, we will. We will. But on that point, that's how I deal with them. I mean, there's times where recently, actually, where I've caught myself like feeling depressed. I'm like, wait a minute. And I literally have to step back and say, all right, this isn't me. Somebody's around me. And I'm not so eloquent with them when they invade my personal space. And literally, I tell them to go F off. I'm sorry. I know that's probably like not politically correct, but that's how I deal with things. I'm like, don't invade my privacy. If I invited you into my space, get out. And they leave.
Yeah, no, you are who you are. You can't change who you are just because you're dealing with spirit.
No.
If you would have said it before to you know, the neighbor who's knocking on the door in the middle of the night, to spirit who's, you know, like
that's about it.
You know, you're the same person. Just because you connect with spirit doesn't mean that you change who you are. You know?
No. And my brothers have taught me that because they're the same boneheads they were when they were here, and there is no language barrier. They are the same. So,
as Eric says in the chat room, how you deal with spirit is personal. It is what it is.
Yep.
I really dislike that phrase, but yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, Eric's guide is Teddy. And his Teddy was not impressed with the woo-woo people. Sorry, Teddy, but that's life. Eric Glynn is a medium from the UK and a very dear friend to this show and to me. So and I call him they call themselves Team Teddy. Actually, Teddy calls himself Team Teddy. So that would be a person to connect with on Facebook and get to know. If you have questions as well, you can check out Eric Glynn. He's a very interesting person to talk to. And he doesn't pull punches either. He's been on the show a few times. But, of course, unfortunately, it's over in the UK and it's like past midnight. So thank you for staying up, Eric.
Yeah.
So has there ever been, okay, got a couple of questions. Let's see if I'm going to get them. Your most difficult connection with spirit, your most difficult reading? And have you ever, if I don't get them both out at the same time, I'll forget them. Have you ever done paranormal investigations, and would you like to?
Paranormal investigations, I have not. I want to, and there are people in my area that have invited me. It just hasn't happened yet. And see, I saw something shiny, and I forgot your first question.
Your most difficult reading, besides this show.
Like difficult in like connection or like emotionally?
Emotionally.
See, that's, how do I put this?
Without giving names and whatnot?
Oh, no, yeah, but I could definitely, I'll go with Janita, because she always says this, we tease. She calls me a cold-hearted SOB, and I know I am, but not the way you think. Let me put this in perspective. I can completely emotionally detach from readings. And I think for me it's a plus because I have dealt with so many suicides and very sensitive things. And what I've learned, because it used to bother me because I was like, I don't feel anything. And they're like, no, you feel, but you're just detached. And there's been several mediums that have told me that's a good thing because what they see my work and where I'm heading, that's an asset. I'm able to deal with that without getting emotional and falling apart during the reading. Like I said, I've dealt with some pretty horrific suicides. I'm able to detach from that and just tell the spirit story, without getting emotionally involved with it. I've also dealt with, children's passing. So a lot of sensitive situations. And it's not that I don't feel, again, it's just that at that moment while I'm working, my job is to get the message from spirit to the sitter.
Mm-hmm.
And if they let me feel their emotion, I will pass that on. So it's not like I'm cold, and I try to, and I fail at telling people this, but I want them to know that even though it may seem like I'm cold during the reading, if I give that appearance in any way, just understand it's not that I don't empathize with what they're going through. It's just I'm concentrating on what they're trying to send. So again, that was a long way of saying that I can I can detach.
Cool. I like that word, detached, because it's so many people have so many different words for it. It's non-feeling, but detached. You can detach from things, because I can't. I think I can when in certain extent I haven't had something that has affected me that deeply. But it's like for me when I deal with my children, and my children will want to talk to me, go like, "Mom, I have to talk to you, but I don't want you to talk until I'm finished telling you what I have to tell you." So to me, that means this is very important. Shut up, sit down, and become Mama D. You know, because if I'm Mom, you know, then I'll be like a blubbering idiot before the 2 minutes are up. But Eric in the chat room says I could do a 2-hour show with Michael. So does the old rambling medium. There are so many similarities with his way of working. I would love to chat mess with his login.
Oh God, anytime.
Don't say that. There's a New Year coming up. I could have you back with it. Have Eric. Eric has been part of a team that I call the Rambling Mediums. And and one of the other Rambling Mediums was a Michael. So not like it's a big change in the names. So
I can babble with the best of them.
I'm literally New Year's for me.
Shut up.
No, but then it makes it a boring show.
All right, I won't be boring.
No, you can't be. Okay. Tell me how you met Janita.
We were at a reading together. There was another medium that's in the area, actually a couple cities away, but he did a group reading in our area.
Mm-hmm.
So me and my wife and a friend of ours went, and Janita was there. I didn't know Janita at the time. And I remember, I think she was sitting behind us. And the only reason I knew, or what stuck out, was she said she was from the Air Force Base. I was like, oh, okay. And from there, I think she started going to the group meetings that we have here in town, the spiritual woo-woo group that meets once a month. So we kind of got to know. She saw my bald head in a ocean of Eric's head. Yeah. It was the light. She was going towards the light.
She was blinded by the light.
So since then, yeah, we have somehow we're stuck with each other now, whether we like it or not.
Well, there's always a reason that people connect. I was just trying to figure this one out. Aside from the fact that you brought her into my circle of knowingness, so that Janita, you and I will be talking for booking you on my show in the new year, because I like you. I like the way you are. As I explained earlier, Eric Glenn has a guide, and his name is Teddy. And Teddy likes to go visiting people in their houses, but he has to ask permission. So Teddy would like permission to come visit you at your house. He comes in to the computer, and he has a look around and tells you what he thinks. And yes, ma'am, thank you. Has a look around and gives you some information, and you can validate it. And it's just, so would you give Teddy permission to come on over and visit you at your house? Now.
So who's going to channel Teddy? Eric
no,
or me?
No. Eric has a conversation with Teddy. Teddy comes over to your house, and he tells Eric what he sees.
Oh, go ahead.
So, okay, Teddy, you got to go.
Absolutely.
And Janita said yes.
She would be delighted.
Yes, she would be tonight. It'll be fun.
She doesn't use those terms with me a lot.
It's because you're a boy.
She uses words like tolerate and
Lock them up in the closet. It's a phrase that a lot of people use, and it's like, I came out of my spiritual closet. Well,
yeah.
I think we need to we'll put you back in your closet just because you get on the nerves. Okay, here he comes, Michael. So, anytime Eric and Teddy, you have something to chat, I will let you know. Until Teddy has something to say, we can continue chatting because Teddy likes to look around and sees what he sees.
Thanks, I was playing with the top of my head.
That would be Teddy. Hopefully you don't have a messy house, because he does comment on these things.
No.
He has a messy house. So, he'll find a mess. So, he complained, when he came over here, he complained about my neighbor's parking. I was like, there's nobody home at my neighbor's house. And Eric's like, no, he's complaining about the parking, the bad parking. So I had to go and look out my front window, and somebody had come home, and they parked backwards, as I called it. Wow, he thought they were cute. Playing with the top of your head, he thought, Teddy thought you were kidding about him being bald. Nope. So yeah, my neighbors really came in quickly and parked so completely out of line that it was amazing. I was like, okay, yeah. So that was my 100% yes, Teddy's in my house. And yours is Teddy playing with your bald head.
Well, the temperature just dropped dramatically where I'm sitting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's weird because I've never felt this before. This is strange for me.
Well, Teddy is a one of a kind. I'll just give you a little, and he wants to know why the notebook.
Because sometimes when I channel, I scribble. Yeah. I don't know why. It's just sometimes I'll pick up the pen and just doodle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because there's been readings that I've done. And this is, wow, I'm freaking freezing. This is cool. I remember doing a reading for a friend of ours, and she had asked, what special object did her mother leave her? And of course, direct questions. Sometimes they'll give me the answer, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I had been, doing my normal. I was scribbling.
Yeah.
And at the end, I gave her the piece of paper because there was stuff written in there, that I wrote notes and stuff, that validations.
Yeah.
The next day, she sent my wife a snapshot of the notepad. She goes, look at the top left. Look what's drawn there. I had drawn a buck knife, if you're familiar with that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have.
And the top left, and that's what her mother had given her. So I didn't even realize what I was doing, but I drew the knife. Yeah.
Teddy says but you can't channel and spell at the same time.
Oh, hell, I can't spell to begin with.
There you go. He says, is that a photo of your brothers behind you?
No, I don't think I have a picture up here of them. Not in this room. There's one on my phone, but no pictures in here.
Okay. So, now I know this from another guest who was on here. The picture actually was behind you, but in another room, like on the wall behind the wall. So it could be there as well.
Yep.
He's saying on the wall. Teddy is saying that you have a picture of your brothers on the wall behind you. So.
Not in this room. It's pretty plain in here, actually. I'm trying to think. I don't.
That's why when he did this to me, I had to get up and physically go to the window to see, and it was. Oh yeah, don't worry about it. It'll come. It's in the lounge, living room. Lounge, living room.
I have to think about it because I don't think I have any physical pictures of them other than on my phone.
Okay.
I'm not one for pictures. I don't even have one of my sister, I don't think, in the house. They're all on my phone or computer.
Okay.
That I'm aware of.
Well, we have a couple of other guests in the chat room. Guests, I noticed that you tried to type a little bit a minute ago. One of the things about this show is that you have to sign in with IntuiTalks, either with your Facebook account or join IntuiTalks altogether. It doesn't take long. You will still be here when you come back. If you want to join into the chat room, that's what you got to do. And welcome, Dan. Hello, and welcome to the madness. And I can hear my cat playing with his dinner bowl outside. Dan, if you have any questions, I don't know if you know Michael, but if you have any questions about mediumship, about pretty much anything, this is a safe place to ask. We don't bite. Okay, well, I don't bite. I can attest for Michael. At this moment in time, okay, you should be feeling cool chills in the back.
It's fair. I had to look and see if the window was open. Literally, I've never, and I've always asked, asked my sister, my brothers, hey, when you're around, I've heard you can manipulate the temperature in the room, do that, and of course they don't. I think they're just being buttheads, because I'm asking them, but anyway.
Well, so Eric and Teddy have been working together for many years. So, Teddy showed himself to Eric, literally showed himself to Eric, and your head is a target for the temperature.
Oh, I'm sure. It's like I got scars all over my head. It's a target for many things. Or
Teddy showed himself the very first time. Eric was taking a shower, and Teddy made himself known to Eric. But luckily, that'll get your attention when there's a male voice in the shower, and you're not, and you're pretty much the only male in the house. Hello.
Yep. I need it.
And
yeah.
Need a new computer there.
This one's all right, but it's not the best. Definitely not. I got a regular chair. I got a steel chair in the corner. That's what I use for meditation. I'm old school. I want to be uncomfortable. I want to sit straight up, no comforts at all, and it works.
It's not the double Z meditation.
Oh God, no. Oh my God! The other day I almost fell out of my chair because I did start to nod off, and I caught it felt like I was about to hit my head on the desk before I snapped back up. I'm like, whoa. Yeah. Oh, this is weird. I don't know why I need to share this, but this is another weird experience I had. I don't meditate a lot, okay? Mm-hmm. I have actually been anti-meditation for a while. Not that I don't like it, but I was like, it doesn't serve me. At the beginning, I used to, before I would do readings, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to try just going in and just do whatever. And it works. So I've recently started to meditate again, but not for actively channeling. Mm-hmm. It's something else I feel I need to do because I just need to do it. So I started doing it again. I just started doing a half hour. And the last two I've gone really deep. And this is the weird one. I was in the meditation. This is the first one I did. And I was really, really deep. And all of a sudden, Anne Frank pops in. And I was like, it took me a second to realize it was her. Yeah. She didn't say anything. It was just like she was there. I was just like, what the, so I kind of snapped out of it. I go back into my meditation, and there she is again. She didn't say anything. It was just like, why would Anne Frank be in visiting me during my meditation? So I thought that was interesting as all could be. I was just like, what? Why? I don't know where I was going with the meditation thing. But anyway, I think it's just to be able to deepen my connection maybe in a way. One thing I was taught, and I'm stubborn, that, it's not just a one-way street. They're not on call for you. Yeah. You got to put in your time. So that's kind of what hit me recently was, hey, it's time to start sitting and letting them learn how to work with you. Mm-hmm. So that's why I started doing that. Why I felt like I needed to say that, I have no idea. But okay. I did.
Eric said Teddy was activating your healing guys to help with the backaches. Do you have backaches?
Occasionally, yes. My lower.
No, Teddy's
I don't exercise every day. I have to exercise every day. If I don't, then I don't feel right. My
You
back.
cramp up like an old man. Say it. Go ahead. Say it.
No, I'm not old. Just a number.
And Janita asks, what is your code word for meditation?
Beer.
Beer?
Yep, she knows. Beer.
Okay.
I said, I'm going to go meditate, Janita. You meditate? Oh, I'm actually going to go drink a beer.
Okay.
So, but now meditation could actually mean meditation.
Teddy's now sending the cold to your hands. Okay. Where are you at, Michael, on this planet?
North Dakota.
So it's chilly out there, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's actually, today was almost 40. So this is like obscenely warm for this time of year.
So that's why Teddy's trying to chill you out, because it's too damn warm. I'd be like, send me the heat. Don't send me the
Yeah,
motor. Thank you very much, Teddy.
That was interesting because, I mean, it took me a second to realize, I literally, like I said, I had to look and see if the window was open because I had it open earlier for the incense I was burning, but I shut them and I just felt like the cold draft. It just caught me by surprise and I was like, whoa, this is cool.
That's Teddy for you. So, but this is something that, it's years that I believe 10 years that Eric and Teddy have worked together. And Eric has been on when, I can't remember who it was, that was from the Channeling Eric family of mediums, was on the show, and Teddy and Eric, your Eric, were having a good time chatting it up. They were like, bosom buddies, and their language was matching each other.
Colorful.
Yes, exactly. So
it is getting warmer. And it literally is. This is weird.
Well,
it's pretty cool though.
It's fun, yeah.
Because I've been ask Janita, I've been wanting to experience the physical sensations of spirit since I started. And maybe I'm not a cold-hearted SOB, Janita.
Okay,
my face is extremely hot right now, so it's interesting.
Getting a hot flash.
Nah. Gotta hope not.
It's called Teddy. It's a hot flash. Jamie in the chat room says he has had the physical since he was a child. Isn't always positive, and sometimes it can be concerning. Yes, it can. As long as you understand that it's not you physically who's having the issues, but it's working through you. How's your ears, by the way? After the healing,
ears are hard because I got full earmuffs, not muffs, but the headphones set on.
There you go.
So they're sweating anyway.
After the healing the other day, you will, trust me, new stuff has been activated to you, my friend. That's from Janita.
Oh my God. Yeah, I was pretty squirrely the other day. Couldn't figure it out. She's been telling her, actually I think her and Sheila had a conversation before I jumped on here. They were getting after me. Because Sheila was like, I've been telling him. Janita's like, I've been telling him too. He needs to clear the space. And I've been like, no, I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Apparently Sheila's been feeling my buddies that hang around the house. And I'm just like going about my normal business. Like I said, it has to be a pretty big buildup before I can feel them.
So is your wife connected to spirit?
She can, she picks stuff up time to time. Yep. She's more empathic. She feels a lot, which is probably why I'm getting my butt chewed here recently, because she finally realizes it's the ones that I'm bringing around. But, so she's my barometer in that sense, or she will be now.
There you go. That is why Jackie came into. That is why Janine in the chat room wrote, that is why Jackie came in 2 weeks ago. She comes to me when I need to pay attention to you. The reason I read the chat out loud is because it's not recorded unless it's read out loud. So yes. Okay, Teddy, ready to come back? I will let Michael bring Teddy back. 1, 2, 3, and send him to the computer. He will feel the rush in his chest as he leaves. So there you go.
It was quick. I felt.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's like, it's a quickie. It's a quickie. Just like Teddy. There you go. You just had a Teddy quickie. You know? So your wife will ask you, how was the show? He's like, I had a quickie with Teddy. There you go.
She's listening. She's on the other end somewhere.
Yeah. We should ask her to come in closer and tell us all the secrets about you.
No.
Hey, you never know. You never know. She could be my friend on Facebook, Skype. But, temperature should return back to normal soon. Or now, I should say.
It actually had. Yeah, it did. It's actually like pretty consistent now. That was cool.
See, and this was probably because you were saying you've wanted to feel the physical aspect of spirit. So this was Teddy knowing that you wanted that, because Eric's guide Teddy will speak with your guides and they'll have a nice little chit chat, and he probably knows that that's what you want, and because Teddy's been around and he's stronger, that's one of the things he's like, you know, let's make him feel it now. And
it was
interesting.
It was cold.
And you now have been initiated into Team Teddy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And the thing about Teddy, which I like, was Eric was able to actually confirm he was who he said he is. I think he connects with his great-granddaughter. Eric connected with his great-granddaughter because Teddy was actually of this earth. And he came back and he hooked up with Eric, and God help the world.
Wow, if my brothers join in that team, it's over.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know what Teddy does over there. Be prepared. Yeah. Dan is typing.
Comments, questions here. I'm kind of going back through them.
That's okay. I don't think so. How did you learn to hear your guides, Michael, from Jamie?
Again, that was a lot of trust.
And can you differentiate your guides? Do you know?
I don't try to. And this is, I'll explain how I work with my guides. In the beginning, I was kind of interested in knowing who they were individually and trying to humanize them by giving them names. But it wasn't like important for me to know that. As time went on, I just kind of, I know they're there. I don't know how many I have. Again, it's not something I'm interested in finding out. So when I did a meditation once because I wanted to see if they would connect with me. I mean, obviously they would. But when I did, this is a meditation I learned actually when I was in the class with Mimi. It was one of the exercises was meeting your guide. And actually at that time she had us meet 5 different guides: a healer guide, your master guide, a joy guide, and there was a few other ones that I can't remember. It was funny because when I did the meditation on the joy guide, Robin Williams popped in, and I was just like, what the hell is going on here? Because one of the things you learn is trust, and it could be anything from energy to a squirrel to whoever. And literally, so the meditation goes, you're sitting there, you have an empty chair to your left, you go into the meditation, and then like in the count of 3 or whatever the guided meditation says, your joy guide will now appear. Do not dismiss it, accept whoever's there. So it goes 3, 2, 1. I look over in the chair and there's Robin Williams. I'm like, what the hell? So So that was interesting. But when I went to meet the meditation to meet my master guide, it was interesting because it wasn't human form, it wasn't animal, it was energy. And it was actually a female energy, and it was a purple ball of light.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my master guide. And I just felt that she had a more dominant female energy. And actually, I learned to work with feeling her energy when she's close. And she sits, of course, I feel it right on top of my bald head. It's like static electricity, when she's close.
Mm-hmm.
And I've asked her to come close and then back away. So I've gotten used to her energy. It's almost similar to what my sister does. When my sister comes in, my left eyebrow goes numb.
So fun.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
Eric has a question in the chat room. It's coming from Teddy. Teddy's asking, who is the child in spirit due to miscarriage? Could be a close family member, was just hanging around the room when Teddy was there and wanted to be remembered.
there is none in my immediate family that I'm aware of. And not to say it didn't happen. I'm not aware of any miscarriages in our families.
No, there's a baby who just wants to be remembered. Ask your wife. Honey.
Yeah, I'll yell to her after, and I'll pass the message.
Okay. And Denise says, what other celebrities have come through for you besides Robin?
It's interesting because when I first started this work, my friend Mimi, she has a website, and one of the things she used to do was interview celebrities. Now, there's tons of them out there that do it their own way, but the way she worked it was she didn't initiate the conversation. She would just put it out there that this is the work she wants to do, and if there's any people that want to come through, we'll talk. And that's the way she handled it. So they would start to come to her. And again, like I was her student. And that was the other thing that kind of caught me because I'd only been in her class for a few months, or have known her for a few months. And she asked me at one point, do you want to do this work with me? I was just like, sure. I was just like, but I'm not a good medium yet. And she's like, no, you are. I've been working with mediums for a while. You are. So I was like, okay. So the way we would work it was just that we would sit down and do an interview, and I would think of somebody that I would like to interview, and she would do the same, but we wouldn't talk to each other until we sat down face to face. So we didn't know who was going to show up. I mean, I would ask, like Freddie Mercury, for instance, and he showed up. He's like, yep. So she would interview. She would actually do the channeling, and I would ask him the questions. And then a half hour later, we'd swap, and whoever was with her, I would channel.
Okay.
So Freddie Mercury, David Bowie, Prince, Muhammad Ali.
Now that's a nice one.
There's others probably I'm forgetting, but it was pretty interesting work.
Mm-hmm. Is there any one celebrity that you would really like to talk to that you haven't already?
None that comes to mind. I'm weird when it comes to celebrities and stuff like that because I don't really put them up on that shelf of celebrity. They're just, to me, they're just people. And it's interesting that when they used to come through for us, I shouldn't say they didn't care about what they did, but they wouldn't focus on that. David Bowie, for instance, sticks out that when he came through, the one thing he wanted to talk about was his childhood and how they grew up poor. And I think he was adopted or something like that, but his thing was he would work with orphanages and he would make sure that he just worked with, making sure people had enough. He was very generous with his money as far as donations. Okay. But that's what he focused on, because he had that childhood growing up. So that's what he was focusing on. Yeah. Not I'm David Bowie, the musician or entertainer. And most of them were like that. Most of them would talk about their life and what was important to them.
Well, that's the thing is we put them up on pedestals, we in the general term, put people up on pedestals, and we forget they are human. There are things that, they do go pee and they do take showers and they do have to, put the trash out, Somebody does, at least my house is not me, but you know what I mean? But we forget that they're human. So when first, Prince is like, oh my God, it's Prince. But Prince was still a man. He was still human. He was, as much as his art and his talent was amazing, you still have to remember that he was not a man. Oh, okay, by the way, the baby goes back about 15 years. And good night, Eric.
I'm going to write that down, and I'll message you, Darlene, with that.
Good night, Eric. Good night, Teddy. It's 1-8 there, yeah.
But yeah, with Prince, he was so humble, and the one thing he kept teasing about was like, because I'm short, he was short, and he's like, but even back then, he was even telling me, like, dude, you're going to be out there, you're going to be big. He's like, I see you're going to be on stage, and it's not going to be like small groups of people. It's going to be like auditoriums. So even he was telling me this stuff, and it's been like a constant message since I started, and I'm still like, everybody's like, you're going to be like John Edward, that's a constant. I'm like, okay, I'm just, wherever I'm supposed to be. That's my only thing with spirit. I've said this from the beginning. Put me where I'm needed. That's it. Where I can help people. That's it. That's my only. Hey, put me where I'm needed.
Exactly, and that's the thing. A lot of people seem to forget is that even the mediums who have their own shows, what we see on TV, what we see in the craziness that goes on in life, is not everything about them. I have a friend who knows Teresa Caputo personally, as a friend, not as a the Long Island medium or whatever. And he says the person that you see on the show is only a partial of what she is, because the show has to cut and edit because they're doing the ratings and yada yada yada. So a lot of it is kind of sort of set up. She does do readings in the grocery store, but they gotta go ahead of time, because like I'm going to the grocery store. Okay, and they'll go in. It's like if somebody wants to read, doesn't want a reading, or if you're interested in having a reading, so there's got to be some build up, or Teresa might go in beforehand and say, okay, well, I feel this, this, and this, and they've got to have, waivers signed and all this thing. So you only get to see a part of what happened, because again, you still have to remember that, if you become as big as John Edwards, even John Edwards is backing down to some of the stuff that the bigness that was created from him. He's got a show. He stopped doing the show for TLC, and he's doing it on Facebook Watch.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's because you have the control, your own control on this stuff. Okay. A lot more, not all the control, but a lot more control on what you do. It's like for me here, I used to do shows on other stations, and I love those stations dearly. Paramania Radio and Ghost Call Radio. They spoiled me rotten, but here I have the control that I want. So everybody has to sort of bring their own control into what they do. So yes, you may end up on stage one day, but what people will have to remember is that what you see on stage is only one part of who Michael Christopher is. I'll bring this video back. I'll bring this audio back when you're like that big shot up on stage. I remember when his word for meditation was beer. Going for a beer. We, as your friends, we will keep you humble. Otherwise, we're going to embarrass the garbage at you.
Oh, yeah. I have a hard time with everything with this as far as taking compliments. My wife has finally beat it into my head to at least say thank you, because to me it's, I don't know, I've always been uncomfortable with accolades. So, but I finally have been able to at least say thank you. It's just, I don't know, it's just me.
No, it's not just you. it's something that a lot of people have hard issues with. I used to reflect all compliments and of that sort. Or I used to think, because I being a girl, most people would, I would sit there and go, okay, what do they want?
Uh-huh.
So it's something that everybody has to kind of sort of get used to, but you have to be comfortable in your own self and, have done all the questioning that you need. Question. Dog wants up on that. This show used to be on video, and he used to get his moment of fame be on camera, but now there's no camera, but he still wants up on the lap. But yeah, we have to, be comfortable with ourselves and say, yes, and it's trust. You trust that you're giving what you're getting. You're not, it's spirit that's working, that you're giving the message from, not your own mind that's
Right.
translating it, for lack of a better word, and so the thank you is not, it's to you, but it's also to spirit. So it's like the two as one.
Yes.
So when they say you did a good job, you did a good job as the telephone.
Exactly.
Spirit, so it's fun. But I think for the times that I've seen you on your Facebook Lives, the times I've seen you on other people's Facebook Lives, you are exactly who you are. And this is what I like about this show, is that people get to see the basics. People get to see who Michael is, not just Michael Christopher, the evidential medium. Michael Christopher, Mike, the one who would take the trash out, otherwise she was going to kick his butt, or something along those lines. You are, it sounds like, I'm into physical violence against males. No, I'm kidding. But, but you have to remember that. It's not just thanking you. It's thanking you for the work that you do with spirit. It's thanking spirit through you.
Oh no, and that's one thing. It's never going to be lost on me.
Mm-hmm.
And after every reading, I thank them. I thank them for one, trusting me. I'm talking spirit.
Yeah.
Thank them for trusting me. And allowing me to be their voice.
Yeah.
To me, that's an honor that it's hard to put in words when you really sit back and think, what is going on right now? With the process, what is actually happening? You're talking to somebody who's no longer with us physically.
Yeah.
And, it's just, to me, that still anytime I think about it, it just blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And, the appreciation I have with the people that contact me, that trust me to sit down with them, and it's all been word of mouth. I do not advertise at all. And to me, I prefer that.
Yeah.
I would rather have somebody who has sat with me tell somebody about me. So they understand when they come to see me, they know kind of what to expect.
They know what they're in for.
Yeah. And, I can't say thank you enough for the people, that have wanted to come see me.
Mm-hmm.
And I want everybody to know, that how much I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
I'm at a loss for words right now, but I just, this is something that's just, I'm losing my, my words right now.
Okay, I have put into the chat room your website, which is www.michaelchristopher, all one word, lowercase.org. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, they can't find you on Facebook, that's where they go to book a reading with you, to book an in-house or online. Do you do online Skype readings?
I'm kind of changing it up. And this is getting geared up for when I leave my job in the beginning of February. I started adding the in-home and in-person. I've only been able to do, I don't think I've done any in-home yet. It's just because of my work schedule. So right now I do like group readings, gallery readings, and private ones. And if for some reason I used to do the private ones over Skype or Zoom, and I'm finding that I'd like to do the private ones over the phone. I don't know why. I just, there's something about it now that I just prefer to do it via phone. And one thing I want to explain, because I've heard this recently, because people have asked, they feel, or they were under the impression that it has to be in person, that there's going to be a difference, be it, between in-home or in person or on the phone.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from my experience, it's exactly the same. Energy is energy.
Yep.
You're going to get the same message whether I'm sitting in front of you or across the world. And that's just the way it works. So I don't know, for some reason, the phone, I think because I'm not worried, but the person sitting there staring at me through the computer,
Yeah.
I'm able to just completely zone out and focus on them, in the spirit world.
Exactly. There's nothing shiny to distract you.
Yeah, because, I'm done with that. But, so I prefer, if somebody's really adamant about it and wants to do a Skype reading because they want to see my beautiful face, hey, I'm all for it.
Well, you can still do Skype without video. Remember that.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, so my services, they're all on there right now and up to date. I'm always finagling with the wording because I'm always catching something. But yeah, for right now, that's what it is. Also in February, I'll be able to open up my automated calendar. Because right now I just have people email me and we go through the process of setting up a date and time. So once I'm away from my job, I can just open up my calendar. People can just go in and book their appointment right there and everything's taken care of. And the next thing they know, we'll talk when we have our appointment.
yeah. Hold on a second. I lost the chat room. Whoops. There we go. Is there anything on your bucket list that there's something that you wanted to do as part of your mediumship, we'll say title, right? And as a personal thing, like last couple of times people want to go to Ireland and see the castles, and is there somewhere that you want to go, that you want to, possibly connect with spirit over there? But it's all about you enjoying it. Well, your wife, of course, because we had a guest on a while back. She wanted to go over to the UK, but her husband wanted to go only because I think it was Scotland, because there was nice golf courses over there. Had a guest in the chat room who was saying, "Oh yes, there's 5 different golf courses near there." So this is what is your dream, your bucket list of where you want to go?
Actually, it's odd because I don't think I have one. And maybe this is, I don't know, this might sound weird, but when I went through the kidney stuff and all that, I really learned to live in the moment. Not saying that I don't make plans, because I do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I haven't really sat and thought, wow, where would I want to go? It's kind of one of those that,
was filled when you had that transplant.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So yeah.
But I'd like to travel and just, check out some. I don't want to say haunted. I don't really like that word. They're just hanging out there for whatever reason. One of the things we do want to see is the Queen Mary out in California. We've talked about that. It's that haunted ship that.
Okay.
Yep. It was a transport ship during the wars. It was turned into a hotel in the harbor now, and it's apparently one of the most haunted locations. So, it's interesting. It's just like the Stanley Hotel when we went there. It was interesting. And it's not exactly what people expect, I guess. For me, there's a lot of hype around haunted facilities. And I'm not going to sit here and say I know everything, and no, I don't. But for me, it was relatively calm and tame compared to what you hear.
Well, a lot of it is hype. A lot of it is different people connecting with, you and I could walk into the same place and you could feel, the roller coaster of spirit and everything, and I could feel nothing. And we could walk into another place and it could be reversed. Each person gets different to whoever they attract, the places they go, the people they see. And Jamie says you have a very nice website.
Thank you.
So everybody goes it's like putting the exact same ingredients to make 5 cakes and give 5 different people the exact same ingredients to make those cakes. And each cake will taste differently because it's the way you serve the bowl, the way you pour, a little bit more of this, a little bit less of that, or, so every place is different, for each person's visit. So the Stanley Hotel for some people is like, the greatest thing. They get all great connections and great emotions and great, but for you it was just like, it's cool,
Yeah. And back to the bucket list thing too, and I'm pretty boring person. We find,
Sheila, is that true?
pleasure in just hanging out around the house or around the local area. I don't know. I've kind of always been that way. I don't know. I just miss the little things, I guess. It doesn't take much.
Well, like I said, your bucket list was filled when you got your transplant.
Yeah.
That was an important thing. That was what enabled you to be the man that you are now. Here, alive, living on this planet, and not being hooked up to different machines.
Yeah.
Daily or bi-daily.
And I remember that day too, saying, all right, if you need me around for whatever reason, let me find a kidney within a year.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously this was part of that plan, because I should have took a dirt nap about 8 years ago.
Oh no, they wanted you to be here so that you could be on my show that I could torture if you let
So I could annoy everybody still. That's what I always say. I can continue to be annoying.
Do you have anything that you would like to advertise? Because we're getting close to the end of the show. Anything that you want to talk about? And Janita in the chat room said, "Yep, the simplest things in life, most people take for granted." Very true, Janita. Mm-hmm. Putting one step in front of the other. So, is there anything that you have coming up that you'd like to talk about?
Let's see.
Aside from retirement in February.
Retiring. And it's funny because March 1st will actually be 30 years I went into the Air Force March 1st, 1989. So I did 20 years in the Air Force, retired, and then I would have, this would be almost 10 years doing air traffic control in the civilian world. So to me, it was a good time to stop that. And I've really been pushed. I know it's them on the other side pushing me. It's like, no, you need to get away, because I've been feeling that for at least the last year. Because before that, I was pretty content doing both, but now it's like, no, I can feel them pushing. It's like, no, this is what you need to be doing. So the biggest thing coming up is definitely, I took that leap of faith and trust. Holy crap, talk about trust. Leaving your comfort zone and job, career that I've had for 30 years to go into the unknown and do what I'm about to do. But it's funny because I just feel, I feel this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It's like there's no doubt, So yes, leaving the job, pursuing this full time, that's the biggest thing I got coming up. And being able to do this full time, being able to do, to book more appointments, because it is, unfortunately, I've had to put people on a waiting list, and I know some people have gotten frustrated because I haven't been able to, make something happen individually with certain people in there, and but I do the best I can. I have to have my free time. I have to have, it's a very delicate balance, especially with the career field I have, and I've learned that from the get-go, but now it's going to be great. It's just, I'm so excited to be able to just do this, Well,
it's happening for a reason. The timing is meant to happen the way it is, so, you're going to stay home and drive your wife crazy. God help her.
I'm going to be busy. From what everybody has told me, it's like, no, you're not, because I worry about, I can have enough readings every week, and every single friend of mine at the medium is like, you have no idea what's about to happen. I'm like, okay, and it's starting to happen. It's starting to happen. I see it with appointments that are starting to happen more frequently.
Yeah.
So,
Well, what is that, the movie Field of Dreams? If you build it, they will come.
oh, I've had that thought in my mind ever.
If
Yeah.
you plan retirement, they will show up.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the way it works. You know, you make the choices, and you trust in spirit. That spirit will guide the people to you to help you survive and thrive and share what you have for everybody else. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching you roll.
Every day is going to be a new adventure, and that's what I look forward to the most, is not knowing, what tomorrow may bring. And again, I try to just be really conscious of living now, what's happening now.
Mhm.
I've had friends of mine recently pass, and that was another big thing that kicked me out the door of my job. Going through what I did, seeing what my brothers went through, the unfortunate death of my sister, things just, they're in my mind. And you hear people say it all the time, you got to do what makes you happy. It's not all about the dollar. And it really has become real for me recently, to where it made me think, it's like, I don't want to do this job anymore. I don't want to be tied to this job. I got to be doing this other stuff.
Mhm.
So what am I waiting for? If I don't take the chance now, when? I got to at least give it a try. I got to do this. I got to at least say, I don't want it to be a regret that I should have did this 10 years ago.
Exactly. And it's like most people sit there and say, I don't want to be on my deathbed, and go, why didn't I?
Exactly. When our friend of ours, who was actually at the hospital with us when me and my friend had the transplant, he passed away in May prior to his 49th birthday, and it hit me and my buddy Stan like, it's still, we just had our 8th anniversary of the transplant, and Mark's not here, and it was just, again, it's just one of those moments to where, don't wait. Don't wait. Do it. Whatever it is, just do it.
Get it done. Don't be afraid. And unfortunately, a lot of people are afraid.
Oh, I'm pooping in my pants at times thinking about what I'm about to do. But on the same thought is, well, I'm doing it.
Yep, exactly. To step up to the plate and get ready to swing. And you're about to swing. Mm-hmm. All right, my darling, it is about time for us to sign off. So I need to thank you so much for doing this. We're sitting there chit-chatting so much and having such a good time. We didn't do any readings. So how you back next year?
We did.
Wow. But the thing is, this is what it is about this show, is it's not I believe you were the one who said it. It's not a dog and pony show. I don't ask people to come on here to dance and sing. I want people to come on here to share who they are and how they got there, and because I know without a doubt, something that you have said has helped somebody who is either in the chat room or will be listening in the archives. That's my goal in life, is to make sure that people get the help that they need, even if they're too afraid to ask. So I know without a doubt that you've done that. But I will have you back next year.
It would be a pleasure and honor.
And we're going to do a reading show. So, and I might put you with Eric, and we could do the rattling mediums, young and old.
Exactly, that would be pretty fun. And I want somebody who listens to this later on to go by, count up how many times I said, I have recently taught that. I say that a lot. When I was an instructor in the Air Force, they were called distractors. And they would count how many times you say a certain word. And I've recently, so I'm becoming very, aware of that. And I know I've said it 100 times today. I'm just curious to see how many.
I will, because as much as people like my voice, I don't think my voice is all that. So I don't like listening to myself. I guess it's like an actor who doesn't like to watch themselves. I do if I need to hear something, but I'll entrust that to somebody who is listening to it. If you have it in you, count how many times you said to me, check mark on a page and take a picture of check marks and send it to if I get a messenger in Facebook Messenger with just a picture of check marks, I'm sending that to you.
You said it 400 times in 2 hours. I'm like, oh my God.
All right. I thank you. I thank all of your friends who are in the chat room, new and old. You are welcome back anytime to Angel Meadows. And again, Michael, thank you. And have a great evening. Everybody, behave yourselves. And if you see a butterfly, know that it is me poking at you to make you smile, or somebody else who's above telling you they need to be remembered. Night, everyone.
Have a good night.
Good night, Michael.
Bye.